I'm Sophia Martin here with this week's episode of the Influential Women of Beverly Hills. Today we have our guests, Lindsey Bresnick and Jordan Yasgoor, who are social media marketing queens. They have created a completely successful business and they're just incredible. So I want to know more about your business and what you guys do and how you got there. So can you guys tell me a little bit more about Elle A Social?
Yeah, definitely. Jordan and I both met at NBC Universal, where we thought we were starting our competitive long career path. We quickly became really close friends. We found out both our parents went to Beverly Hills High School, actually. And we've always been so consumed by social media marketing. It kind of was our life, especially being in the entertainment industry. So together we got dinner one night and we were like, hey, let's start this company and go for it. It was scary, exciting, exhilarating, all at the same time. And we quit our jobs and got it up and going.
Well, that's so incredible, and it's so great that you guys found each other. How was the transition from the entertainment industry into the marketing world?
I mean, I think it was definitely a shock for both of us, especially since Lindsay came from development at NBC and I came from production. And I just think that, submersing yourself into a new field entirely, no matter what it is difficult. But if you take the time to sit there and learn and, learn from the people around you and do your research, you could become excellent in any field. And that's exactly what Lindsay and I did. We spent the time and we really dug down deep to figure out the best practices on how to make our company the best it can be.
Well, yeah, so it sounds like you guys really did a lot of work in order to understand this field, and you really took your passion to the next level. First of all, what colleges did you guys go to? I mean, I know you said that you went to Arizona.
Yeah, I went to University of Arizona.
And what did you major in?
I majored in early childhood education.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's very different from marketing. What led you, or how did your major help you go into marketing?
That's an interesting question, because when I was in college, I had felt this need that I loved kids, and that because I loved kids, that's what I needed to make my career. So I did get my degree in early childhood education, but a passion of mine, aside from loving kids, was entertainment and celebrity and finding out news super fast. And I told myself that, yeah, I got my degree in early childhood education, but my dream company to work at was NBC Universal. Mm-hmm. So I searched and searched for job openings and reached all of my connections to really get that position. And when I found out I got the position, it was great. And then a couple months into it, I noticed that I was finishing my work around like 11 o'clock every day. And I was like, okay, I'm bored. Like, what am I going to do now? And this is when social media was just starting to get really, really popular. Mm-hmm. So I would sit on the computer and research and research and research as if it was like studying for school, because I was diving into these black holes of how social media can connect you to people and experiences. And it was so exciting to me that I would go home and lay in bed and look at social media. So that is sort of how I made my transition into what we're doing now. But that just goes to say that, some people are cut out to follow this path in college and, go to medical school and become great doctors. But some people don't really figure that out as early on, and it is quite a tough path to take. And once I figured out that this is what I loved, I decided to do the company with Jordan, and she vice versa. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't feel like work to us. I mean, we work very hard, but it's always fun and there's never a dull moment. So
well, that's so important to have fun while you're doing work. And
yeah,
it's so interesting that you said that you started researching about social media and you got really into it and into the psychology of it almost. Mm-hmm. Because what it sounds like is you have figured out how to interconnect the people that are viewing social media to the things that are going to influence them. And I think that's so amazing, and that's so it's a science. It's teaching or showing people how they're going to connect to others.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's so cool for us. And I think once I saw that I was doing all of that on my free time, I was like, whoa, took a step back. How can I make this a part of my life?
Right.
And that's why we're here today on my side.
Yeah,
Well, I know that you went to Boulder.
I did.
And you told me earlier that you majored in communications,
Yes.
which is a little closer to marketing. So how has that helped you?
Well, I did go to the University of Colorado at Boulder. Go Buffs, must say. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in communications. I can't even say bachelor, and I studied communications. I loved it. I thought it was a great way to show how different people can communicate amongst each other, how we use communication as humans to get our points across, and all that stuff. And how does it relate to my everyday? Well, sometimes, I mean, honestly, all the time, we're communicating with our clients, we're communicating with prospective clients, we're reaching out to people we don't know, and you have to use certain types of language, which I was fortunate enough to learn in college. However, I think if anybody puts their mind to it, you can figure out a way to approach a person and really be able to understand them on a personal level. And I think something that I took away even from interviewing after college with multiple positions, because I was a freelance producer, and so I was constantly going through interviews, and it's really about being personable with people. And that's what we put into our company is, you know, when we're looking to sign the next client, how can we relate to them? And how can we tell them, okay, trust us, we know what we're doing, and not sound like robots, but at the same time communicate to them on a level they can understand. So that's, you know, something I definitely took away from studying in college. And kind of like Lindsay, we had similar backgrounds, and, you know, we graduated high school, we didn't really know what we wanted to do just yet, which is totally fine. And we both went down separate career paths after college, and you know, we both thought that was what we wanted to do. She thought she wanted to be in development. I thought I wanted to be a producer. And now we take both of those things that we've learned from development and production, and we implement it into our company. Yeah. So between creative content and between creating the strategy, it all goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you guys have a really great partnership, because both of your experiences have helped you to create Elle A Social. And speaking of Elle A Social, Lindsay, when did you guys first launch?
We launched in July, so it's almost been a year. That was our sort of public launch. We started with the idea sort of in September. I was miserable at my job. I worked at a company after NBC Universal, and you know, the whole 9-to-5 desk job just wasn't for me. And I had a very important person in my life who we're still very close with to this day say, you need to find something that's not desk job. It's not for you, and this is why, you know, you're unhappy. And I took that advice and ran with it. And Jordan had been coming to me and was saying, you know, so many people are asking me for social media help. And I was like, me too. And we were both like, we got dinner, and I was like, what if we started a company? And she's like, I'm in, but how would that work? I was like, I don't know. So we like mentioned the idea like over a year and a half ago, I would say. And that, I think, had always been manifested in a way, because it was both in the back of our minds. And one day I called Jordan, and I think I was crying. I was like, I'm so miserable. Like, why don't we just do the company? And like, what are we waiting for? And she's like, I don't know. I'm on this, you know, social media show as a producer, which she just got promoted to. So I had no idea that, you know, how it was going to work. But she worked double time. She worked at the social media show and helped start the company with me, because we're partners in the company. And we were both like, oh, maybe we'll take a part-time job. I actually applied to be a preschool teacher somewhere, and I was like, okay, great, I'll do that in the morning, and then we'll do Elle A Social. But when we went public in July, it was full force, and we were full-time the day that we announced the company with enough clients to keep the company running.
That is so exciting.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a roller coaster, and it's been so much fun. And we've both found our roles in the company, and it's so cool to see the development side and the producing side of it. It's like I love finding, and she helps, of course, but those new clients, and I kind of birth it to what I think it should be, or the strategy and how we're going to do it. And then she runs with the creative vision and brings it to life. And it's like, to see that process happen has helped us find our defining roles in the company. And it's really cool because it stems from our past experiences. So
it's really amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so incredible how you guys went public, and then it turned the vision that you guys had turned into a full-time job, and that must have been so exciting for you guys, because you've mentioned
exciting and scary.
Yeah,
really
Definitely
scary.
It is very scary to quit your job and not have a source of income for a little bit. And
Our capital was $0.
yeah, we started, and when we went for our accountant meeting, he was actually like, you guys are starting at zero. No one starts at zero. They either raise the money or they find an investment. And we were like, well, we're going to figure it out.
Which is great, because we have no overhead either. So all we need is our computer and our brains, and we can sit almost anywhere and do it and do our jobs.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we really did start from zero. My boyfriend actually was like, I don't know why you guys are waiting. You know, everyone asked that question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I was like, oh yeah, started my own social media company. And I came home from work one day. It was probably one of the worst days I've ever had at my job. And I was crying. I was like, this is not for me. I was scared. I was nervous. I was like, well, if I quit, I'm jobless. And he's like, call your friend who makes websites, get the website made, call Jordan, see if she's on board. I didn't want to do this with anyone else, by the way. I have to mention, if you're going to start a company, make sure that you really are so sure, and vice versa. I mean, she had to think of it on her end if she wanted to start it with me. And you have to make sure you have the right person, because that person's going to be in your life for the rest of your life if you're starting a company with them.
I mean, we are married. Literally married.
Yeah,
so it's kind of crazy.
We are. We both have boyfriends, and sometimes Jordan comes before my boyfriend.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. So I called her and I was like, you know, I'm miserable, and I know we've talked about this, but I'm ready to jump in if you are. And she was like, okay, like, come over after work and we'll talk. And I wasn't really expecting it to be what it was, but I ended up going to my job the next day. It was a Friday, I think, and I wasn't planning on this, but I quit that day.
Wow.
And I drove right over. I mean, it worked out that Jordan lived literally 2 blocks away from the office, but I drove over to Jordan's and I was a mess, and she's like, all right, whip out the computer, let's start the business plan.
It sounds like it all happened so quickly.
Oh my God, it was a whirlwind. It happened very quickly, and Jordan, I'm so lucky because she was just as on board. She had a job. Like, she was on job with a promotion as an associate producer, something she's been working for. And for her to be so accepting of the idea and ready to take the journey on together was a blessing for me, because
That's so sweet. I'm gonna cry.
It's scary, you know. You're out of college. You've worked your way up a ladder that was really hard. I earned at, I think, 24 a marketing manager title, which is hard to come by. So I worked really hard too in what I was doing. And you know, to call your dad and say you quit your job and you're starting a company is like a mouthful.
Yeah.
Let alone going to your best friend who you knew you wanted to start it with. What if she said no? Like, what if she's like, I'm not ready to do it? I didn't want to do it with anyone else, so that would have meant that I had to wait until she was ready.
You didn't know what was going to happen, and you took a risk, and look where you guys are now.
Yeah.
And you have Elle A Social Inc., right?
Yeah, we both, it's crazy.
Well, I love that. And I know that you guys have an umbrella, how would you explain it?
Like a branch.
A branch of Elle A Social, which is called Boss X Babes. And can you tell me more about this initiative?
Yes, I will also show you. Lindsay, you want to take it away as I show everyone?
Sure. So,
If anyone can see it.
you know, Jordan, for so long as part of the company, would express to me, like, God, like, I wish I had a community in college where it was easy to figure out what I wanted to do or not be under so much pressure. And her and I were at her dad's house or her parents' house, and we're really close with them. They've helped us so much along the way. And we were watching Shark Tank, actually. And we saw something come up where it was a clothing line and it was selling really fast. And we're like, wow, we love that. But what if we did that but put a movement behind it to like have some substance? Because, if we're being really raw and honest in this interview, our contracts for social media are 3 months. So that third month comes along, we don't know if a client's going to re-sign or we don't know where that next client is going to come from. So we wanted to find a way to still have revenue without being super nervous. But we didn't just want to create a merchandise line. We wanted to create something that really meant something to Jordan and I and
To the people
wearing it. So that's where Boss X Babes was born. We're Boss Babes and we're babes. You're a babe, hopefully going to become a boss. So
She already is. Look at her.
I mean, you have your own show, so you are a Boss X Babe. So being a Boss X Babe means that you are put into a community of girls that are really working towards what they want to do and they're passionate about, without, and being fearless about it. The number one thing that holds people back from doing what they want to do is fear. And you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to do it right the first time. But if you knock down that wall of fear, you'll ultimately go after what you want and will become successful, and always staying in motion. And that's our biggest message behind Boss X Babes. So aside from the merchandise, we have created a secret society on Facebook where girls can be a part of this group, where we have mentors in real estate, interior design, fashion, social media, Facebook and Instagram, medicine, you name it. We have a mentor in that group where girls can ask questions, maybe find a job in that community. And then we also have it where we have our ambassadors of the program to kind of put everyone on an equal level playing field. One of our ambassadors is Kalani Hilliker from the show Dance Moms. She has 4 million followers on Instagram. Wow. She's wearing a Boss Babes jacket and you're wearing a Boss Babes jacket, but you have 800 followers on Instagram and someone sees that you're wearing it, it puts you on that equal level playing field as Kalani, who has worked to get to where she is, and now you are too, and now you're seen as someone who's a part of the same community. Is really meaningful. So we are in the process of launching this new movement. We're doing a California-wide sorority tour where we're going and speaking at sororities and telling them about the movement, because those are girls who are ready to launch their lives in their career. And I think the response that we've gotten is so tremendous, and girls emailing us all day long saying how much pressure has been taken off their shoulders just hearing that it's okay to not know what you want to do, and it's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to be scared, but as long as you're willing to put forth that effort, then that's what a boss babe is all about.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan, my last question is for you, and I think that the Boss X Babes is so empowering for women, and I love how you guys are going on the sorority tour.
Thank you.
So, in relation to the sorority tour, what advice would you give to young women that are entering the workforce in current times?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've come a long way, as you've heard, and I guess my advice to any girl, to any man or woman would be, just what Lindsay said, never let fear scare you. The fear to fail is what brings people back to square one. And I think something that we learned together, and we also learned as individuals, is you're gonna hit those hard days. We own our own company, and we can choose when we want to do something. And that's the beauty of owning your own company. But at the same time, life is hard. there's personal stuff that gets in the way of, you know, your everyday job, and we would give the advice to, you know, young people out there is to just not be scared of that failure, and to know that real life is real life, and you can't let that part of your life slip away if you're stuck worrying about your career, because your career is always going to be there, and if you do a good job at what you're meant to do, you're going to get wherever you need to go. Whereas if you have somebody who just is so stressed about their job, you know, that's bad for you as your body, it's bad for your levels, your stress, and that's not what we built our foundation from. We wanted it to be a positive community, somewhere where we can both sit down and be excited to go to work and excited to do what we want to do. And Sundays are fun for us now, because we know that
Sunday's scary.
Yeah, because we know that Mondays are just going to be like cool. We get to work at LA Social, and it's just a great place to, you know, a mindset, I guess is what I would say. The best advice I can give is being in a positive mindset.
And be passionate. Be passionate
Yeah.
about what you're doing.
Course,
I do want to make it very clear that you don't need to be the next CEO or start your own company. You could be very well great at broadcast journalism, engineering, you know, becoming a dentist. Just make sure you're passionate about it, because that's when it doesn't feel like work. We are so excited. I'm like already like, is it next week yet? Like, I'm so excited for what's on our calendar next week, and the meetings and the work, and no matter what it is, whether you're starting a company or going into a field that you want to go down for your career, make sure that you are passionate about it.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
course.
And
Thank
you
you.
so much for tuning in
Thank you.
and watching this week's episode of the Influential Women of Beverly Hills.
Bye.